I'm Colin Hamilton. I'm Head of ICT at William Ellis School.
Hi, I'm Peter Jarmy. I'm the Head of Social Science Department at Wanstead High School, and I teach sociology and critical thinking.
I'm Andrew Roberts. I'm the Director of Studies at Abbey College, Cambridge. I also teach mathematics and critical thinking.
My name's Dr. Cindy Wells. I'm a mathematics teacher at Chesterton Community College, which is a secondary school. The children are aged 11 to 16, and critical thinking I teach as an extracurricular subject, so it's after school and voluntary for the Year 11s here to come to.
I became aware of critical thinking as a subject only about 4 years ago, and I was immediately inspired by the value that it could bring to students, because I'd been very aware previously as to how students weren't picking up the skills they needed to access their A-levels. They could do the knowledge and understanding, but they couldn't do the other skills that went with it, such as analysing and evaluating arguments. And so I persuaded the head teacher to allow me to introduce it to a small group of sixth formers. And the first year we had just 9 students, and subsequently we've now got 3 groups of about 20 students altogether.
I think the advantage of having critical thinking as a separate subject is it allows you to just have discussions about topical events and things like that outside of having to worry about a particular curriculum that you're teaching. I think there's probably places for critical thinking in both embedded within subjects and as a subject on its own. And I would like to think that I build critical thinking skills into my maths lessons as much as I teach them in critical thinking lessons as such.
I started teaching critical thinking. It was a bit of an accident, really. There was a visiting teacher from one of our local sixth form colleges who was visiting secondary schools to try and tell us what critical thinking was all about. And I went along to the classes and studied it myself for the first year and took the exams myself at the end of the year. And by that point I was hooked. So I decided I'd carry it on. So for the few years after that, so this is now my 5th year of teaching critical thinking to AS level.
I think critical thinking is vital. The more students that take critical thinking, the better that student will be. The more they'll know about themselves, the more they'll know about what examiners want, what other people want, how to read a newspaper, how to read the small print, how to understand what's going on around them all the time.
Critical thinking is a key skill, really, that everybody needs, not just if they're going into further education, but just for everyday life. We're all bombarded with lots of information. We've got to decide which of it is important and which of it is not reasoned as well as perhaps it should be.
Critical thinking definitely improves their confidence as well. They become much more able to put into words what it is they really want to be able to say, and therefore you can see them grow in confidence over the weeks, that they can get their point across and that they start to realise exactly what they need to say to convince somebody of something. And the interactions are fantastic between the students. To start with, they tend to be a bit silly and they start to sort of poke fun at each other and say, oh, you can't say that because that's silly. And by the end of it, they're taking each other very seriously.
My name's Sarah Bass and I'm a Year 12 student at Wanstead High School. I'm taking psychology, maths, classics, critical thinking and biology.
My name's Scarlett Deavy. I'm in Year 12 at Wanstead High School. I'm taking biology, chemistry, maths, English literature and critical thinking.
Critical thinking can definitely help outside of sixth form with being more analytical. For example, when looking at newspaper articles, the news, you can evaluate things and understand them on a different level.
I definitely think critical thinking does help outside of school, like Sarah said, when you watch the news, read newspaper articles, and also in decision making, such as if I'm going to go to uni or not, how will that benefit me?
When I first taught critical thinking, the group gelled really well and we had some very lively debates. And then we had a parents' evening in November. And I said to the students that I taught, you know, there's no need to come and see me. We don't do any homework. We don't set any work outside school. All we've done is really discuss and argue and come to conclusions. I don't need to see your parents. And 7 parents came over anyway to see me to say, thanks very much for the critical thinking. My child's really learnt from it. I don't know what you do in that classroom, but it's fantastic.